What's up guys, Dale the Artist here. In today's tutorial, I'm going to be showing you guys how to go about creating a brush inside of Blender. Let's get it started. Alright guys, we're ready to start once you guys download the reference image that I provided for you guys in the link below. Now let's bring it in. Let's press 7 on the number pad to go to the top view. And then we want to press Shift A, go down to Image, Reference. And now you go to the directory where you stored that downloaded reference that I provided for you guys in the description and bring it in, and it's going to be displayed on the top view. Now what I want to do is go into X-ray mode, and you can do that by pressing the hotkey Alt-Z, or you can go to the top right and select this option here, just check it on and off. And we're going to be toggling between this throughout the video. Now first thing I'm going to do is turn on selectable, and you can do that by going to the top right section and hitting this drop down and selecting the selectable icon here. Now what this allows us to do is choose if we want something to be selectable in the 3D viewport. Now we're going to toggle off the selection for the empty reference. So now we won't accidentally select that while trying to model. Now first thing I want to do is basically line up this box. So I'm going to press 7 to go back to top view. And we're in object mode. I'm going to use the move tool to line this box up with the tip of the brush here at the top. And we're also going to use the scale tool to scale this on the sides, somewhere about here. And you can hold down Shift to have incremental movement so it isn't so drastic. Now what I want to do is press Control A, and I want to reset the scale for this so we don't get any weird deformation later on. Now I want to press 1 to go to the front view, and I want to just scale this up and down, which is the Z axis. So we have the thickness of the brush. I want it to be somewhere around here. It looks fine. Control A, reset scale. I usually reset the scale whenever we make any adjustments in object mode, because later on you'll get some discrepancies. So let's press Tab to go into edit mode, or you can go to the top left where it says object mode, hit that drop down and go to edit mode. And what I'm going to do is basically line this up with the brush reference. So let's switch from vertice mode to face. Select this bottom face here, and if you can't select it and it's going through, you can just press Alt Z, or just toggle off the X-ray mode here and go back to top view, which is the 7 on the number pad. And what we can start doing is using the move tool to better position this. And I want to just bring this to where the reference starts to change direction. So here I'll press E to extrude. I'll bring that down to about here. Press E once again, bring that to about here. E once again. So wherever there's the most change in the actual shape is where we're going to extrude. So we're going to keep pressing it where we see fit. Bring it back to about here, 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 and lastly the bottom, which is here. Now what I'll do is switch from face mode to vertice, and we'll just drag select to manipulate these at the same time. So drag select over these two, switch to the scale tool, and we can scale these both simultaneously without having to do them one by one, which will be a pain. And you can hold down Shift to have the incremental movements once again. Grab this, bring this in. Just doing a nice little block out. Hold Shift, drag select. And there's lots of ways to go about creating this. This is just one of many. Let's grab this bottom one here and bring this in. Sweet. So we got that done. Here I'll actually do one more. I'll actually create another edge loop here. So I'll press Control R and bring this up, and we'll just bring this to about here. And now what we can do is switch from vertex mode to edge mode. Get out of this mode here. Select both of these edges. Press 7 to go back to top view. Alt Z, or just toggle it on here, X-ray mode. I'm going to press Control B, and we're going to just create a nice bevel. And we can add some edge loops by middle mouse scrolling up. And we'll just add 2. Leave this like this. Now what we can do is go to the Modifiers tab here at the bottom right, and we want to add a subsurface modifier. And you can see this in effect, and let's toggle off our empty here, which is our reference image. And we're going to add some supporting edge loops because we don't want this shape. We want to maintain the primary shape. So we're going to press Control R, select one of these edges here, and we're going to slide it up. Now the closer you get to the border edge will make it more sharper than pressing Control R once again, selecting this edge going up and down, and we're going to drag towards the bottom. So you see as we move this, we start to manipulate the overall form of the object. We want to bring it as low as possible without colliding with the other edge. And we're done. So now we can press Alt Z to go back. And we can actually start to hit this drop down. And we can't apply this now because we're in edit mode. So let's go back to object mode. Right click to shade smooth. And you can see we have the basic of our brush, the basic forms of our brush here. So let's add a, let's actually apply this now. So we're gonna hit apply. And now we can start to select some of these faces here on the inside to where we want the bristles to come from. So let's press 7, go back to the top view. We can toggle back on our reference image here. Toggle back on the X-ray mode. And now we can decide where we want our actual bristles to come from. Switch back to face mode, hit the top, and I'll just start selecting where I want it to be. So I'll say these ones. You can hold down Shift to select multiple faces. So now I want to press I to create an inset. Bring this in. I'll press Shift D to duplicate, and I'm going to right click to cancel the movement. And now I'm going to press P to separate the selection. Now I'll press Tab to exit out of edit mode to go back to the object level. And let's name these two separate pieces that we now have. So let's toggle off our reference image, select our brush, and I'm going to press F2. And let's change this and name it to brush. Let's select this part here, press F2. We're going to rename this to Bristles. Hopefully I spelled that correct. I'm not the best speller. Now with that being done, we can actually, if we want, we can add another subdivision to this brush to make it look a little bit more realistic. And we don't have to apply it, we'll just leave it there for now. Now with this section, what I want to do is add some particles to this. So go to the particles properties here on the right, hit the plus sign, change it from emitter to hair. And what we can do is press 1 to go to the front view. And now with the numbers selected, this is way too many particles. And I see a lot of people mess up here where they just put a ton of hair to compensate for something that they don't really need. So let's change this number to something a lot lower, closer to 300. And with that done, I want to press and drag the hair length down to about here. And we can change the segments to about 4. We don't really need too many segments. And we can even go as low as 3. Now, where the fun starts to happen, we see it's super low right now. It's super thin. We can't see any hair. It looks like we need a lot more. So what we can do is go to the children and change it from none to interpolated. Now, if you choose simple, you'll see that it goes outside the actual bounding area of our selection. So what we want to do is go to interpolated. And let's change the display amount from 10 to 100 so we can see all of the 300 children. Now this looks good, but it looks too cartoony and non-realistic. So what we need to do is change some of the direction of this. So what we can do is toggle on advanced. Here we have a bit more options, which we're not going to touch on that right now. So let's go down to clumping. Parting does nothing right now because that's more geared towards hair. So this won't really affect anything. So sliding this up and down does nothing. So let's go to the clumping. And this is where it starts to look a little bit more realistic. Because if you look at the reference here, and let's toggle back on our x-ray, you see that they're clumped up, right? There's grouped, they look like they're grouped, like kind of like crops. So what we can do is crop these together and start to clump them. So let's change the clumping. You see changing the slider to the right actually, groups it towards the top. But if you go to the left, it groups it by the bottom, which is the look we want to go for. Somewhere around here looks fine. And if you want to clump the noise, you can. I don't usually use this because it's too much for a simple prop like this. That's more towards hair. Now, if we change the roughness, you have to be careful with this because we can get some weird effects with this. So let's hit the slider to the right and see what we're doing. And it starts to bend this. But you can see that it has the sharp edges when it bends, and that's faceting, and that's due to the low level of steps. So we want to just move this up very slightly, loosely, so we can get some type of movement so it's not super straight. And you can change around some of the other parameters, but we don't need to touch that too much right now. Kink, we don't need to touch. If you want to, you can add a curl to it, but it's going to be super drastic straight off the back. So what we can do is change the amplitude down a lot so we can just get a slight effect. Let's see, with hair shape, this is a main part of this. You don't see it too much in this viewer right now, but if you go over to this viewer here, let's see, it's kind of also hard to see without a material, which we don't have right now. The strand is the individual pieces of hair that are coming out of here. Now let's see, if I change the strand root is the base, is the beginning. We can lower this because it's really huge right now. Let's lower this to be somewhere closer to 0.3 or 4. 0.5 should be fine. Let's change the tip to be just a little bit bigger as well, because right now it's super thin and it's not like that naturally. And I think we're at a good place now to call the modeling section complete. Now let's toggle off our reference and let's get a better look at this. And this looks really good. One thing I do want to do is slide down the bristles. So I'll use the move tool and just slide it down in the Z axis so we don't see the plane it's actually generating from. And there's other ways to go about hiding that, but I think that's fine for what we need it for. And as well, I want to add some type of color to the bristles. So I'll go here, go to materials, change the base color to a black, and change the roughness. Let's see if we want this to be more glossy. 0.6 should be fine. We can turn the specular down if we need to, but I think this is fine for what we needed. Now let's add a material to the actual brush. And a good place to get materials is Polygon, Andrew Price's website. So let's go there. And if you go there, right off the back, you can just, in this section, you can type free. And you're going to be prompted with this menu here with a bunch of free materials that you can use. And if you scroll all the way down and go to the second page, there's a good material right here, which is this wood fine dark. Download this. And once you download it, move it to somewhere where you know it's at. I already have it downloaded. And you want to unzip it. And you can delete the zip if you want. And if you open the folder, you'll see a bunch of materials here. And this is what we want. So let's go back into Blender and let's add that here. So first thing we need to do is actually UV this brush, and we can do that quickly by pressing Control A to ensure that we reset the scale And let's go to UV editing. And what we can do is press A to select the entire brush. And we can press U, which is a hotkey for UV mapping. And we want to do a smart UV project. Hit OK. And there we have some pretty perfect UVs. This is something that's really good. This is exactly how you want this to look. So let's go back to the layout and let's apply that material with our new UV laid out brush. So what we can do is go to the materials section, and we already have a material here because we hit it. Now we can go to shading, and now we can select the principal BSDF node here, press the hotkey Control-Shift-T, which is the hotkey for the node wrangler. And if you guys don't have that available, you guys can go to File or Edit Preferences, and then just type in over here Node Wrangler, and just ensure this is checked on. It should be with this latest version automatically, but just in case that's what you need to do, then select the principal BSDF, Control-Shift-T, go to the directory where you stored that downloaded polygon material, and you just want to select all of these. So drag select and just press principal texture setup, and very quickly you're going to see that it's now applied to the brush. And to get this to look the way we want it to, we can go over here to the left side to the mapping nodes, and you can just go to rotation and just rotate this. So let's rotate this, and we can just type in 90 degrees, and it's going to give us a selection that's closer to what we're looking for. Now with this being done, let's go back to layout, and let's ensure that we name this material wood_matte, and we need to apply a separate material for the bristles. So let's hit the minus sign for that, then we can hit the plus sign, hit new, and let's just change the color back to black, because I end up just overriding that last material we created. And if you think the brush is too shiny, we could always just select the brush, go back to shading, and where it says roughness here, you can just go to the factor, invert, and just slide this down till you get a result that you're more satisfied with. And there you go, guys. Here's our brush. So hopefully you guys liked this tutorial. If you did, give it a thumbs up, comment, and share with someone who you think this would benefit. Also, if you guys can, definitely go check out my Patreon. I'm trying to grow my community and my Discord community as well. And I'll catch you guys in the next one.